Today we're going to talk about something near and dear to my heart. I was talking to a client who happens to be, like many of you guys here, second generation, meaning that they are the children of first generation immigrant parents. And I myself, I am technically not. I'm first generation and second generation. I'll tell you another time about it. And we were just talking about this like impending pressure that was placed on him by his parents, and how it's been done very subtly. Like, it's never like you have to buy a house by the time you're 21. It's always like, hey, did you hear about your cousin? Oh, what, you see that they bought a house? But anyways, I want to talk about this today and share with all you guys, because maybe you are in a similar situation like him, maybe you're in a similar situation like me, who has these pressures coming in from parents. And now it's not just for people that are in the second, third generation position. I'm sure this is something that affects everybody our age being 20, 30-year-old somethings. But it's something I want to talk about, especially right now with the housing market the way it is. You don't need to buy a house to please your parents or to make mom or dad happy. First and foremost, let's address what that pressure is. Now, a lot of times we have these markers that are placed on us as we grow up, unintentionally many times, where we hear our parents talk about certain people or certain things that they want. For example, me personally, it was always, oh, I can't wait to see you have kids. Or, you know, for many of you guys, I've heard, oh, I can't wait for one day I go visit you in your own house. I can't wait for the day that you move out on your own, etc. And these things may start off as little pressure points, but as you guys enter your 20s or even your 30s or even your 40s, you might start seeing this pressure being mounted a little more aggressively. It might be more direct conversations from your parents. It might even be little offhand comments, like I said earlier, but you'll definitely start feeling that internal pressure build up, where the expectations that you think are expected of you start really building up. And you might go on Instagram and see that your cousin Edgar just bought a house, which, funny enough, you know, there's always realtors out there that like make like this like super like intense video with drones of when they buy their house, and they're shaking their key around and like popping, you know, those freaking firework things. And it's always funny seeing that, because I personally would hate for that to happen. And sometimes I'm not the best real estate agent because I'm a terrible marketer, and I just tell people, hey, here's your keys. I know you got a lot going on. Just, I want to give you your privacy. Here's your keys. Congratulations. And I like rarely take a photo of them, because it's like, this is your moment. It's not my moment, you know. But anyways, I digress. So many times it's not really coming externally, but it's coming also internally, because of what we think is expected of us, or how we know our parents would feel if we were to accomplish certain things like owning a house. But let's address the elephant in the room. There's been a huge shift in the economic landscape over the last few years. And no, I'm not just saying that to sound smarter. There's been a massive shift. Let me just share with you, like, let's say, let's go like 10 years ago, like 2014. If you wanted to buy a house, okay, let's go like right here. Your average sales price, and this would have been like a really nice house in those days, would have been like 250K. So all you needed to do is about 250K. That down payment would have been like 9K. That interest rate probably would have been like 4%, with taxes being like, let's even go high in the taxes, like $360 for insurance. You're paying at most like $1,500. And to really break this down, like, let's say you're using the 33% model, where I like to say you want your monthly payment to be 33% of your net income. So if that was about 33% of your net income, then you're technically only netting $4,500. So you're like making about $54,000 a year, just pure net, to comfortably afford it. Okay, so that's like meaning you only have to bring home about $1,000 to $1,200 to comfortably afford this. This was very obtainable for most people. Not only that, but in these days, there's a lot of down payment assistance. Your ability to actually gain value was a little more predictable, because we weren't even close to where we were like when the market adjusted, which was like, well, let's go back like right here. So we were still like not even past that point. So it was just a lot much better and more comfortable to buy and afford a home, right? And I would even say up to the point before it massively really shifted, 340, 350K at let's say the interest rate was about, that's still like under 2K. So it was somewhat still doable. So the thing that really needs to be acknowledged here, and I think it's already been beaten. Literally, there's channels on YouTube that talk about this every day, how unaffordable things are. And it's totally unrealistic to have the same standards that were set from here to here be present in this massive increase. Think about how massive this increase was, okay? Like if we're looking at this from here to like here and then like here, okay? In just a period of about 1 to 2 years, we had what is this, like double, triple the growth that we had in like almost 8 to 9 years, okay? So the economic standards should have changed. However, a lot of times our parents or our mentors or whatever will remember the standards that they had, maybe if they've bought here, or even if they bought way before then. They'll hear about the prices go up, they'll hear about the interest rates, etc., but they won't really adjust what they expect. I'm making a very broad generalization here. Maybe let's just say you have really great mentors and family members that have adjusted, but maybe internally we're still living off the standards of before. You deserve to cut yourself some slack. It's okay. Homeownership has been made unobtainable. It's not that you did anything wrong. It's not that you were not given the right opportunity. Is that from the powers that be, it was made unobtainable for you. So what can we do as my fellow second gen, third gen immigrants, or maybe someone who has this pressure outwardly? We need to really change the definition of what we consider successful, because us as a community, especially speaking to my Hispanic community, we like to bring ourselves down. We like, if one of us has a home, becomes a homeowner, either two things happen, rarely the third. One, the homeowner kind of like shades or will throw some shade at you because you still own, or be very snooty about the fact that they own a house. Or the other form, that you may go and throw them some shade, or not be as supportive, and etc. Right? Like there's only one or two happens, and rarely is it like a, hey, I am genuinely enthusiastic for their success, let me go help them, they're succeeding today, but once I'll succeed tomorrow, right? It's never really a kind of combination. When one of us succeeds, we're all succeeding. But really what I've noticed, at least in my culture, is very much a crab mentality, where if one of us starts rising, we pull them down. We really don't help each other out. I get that probably comes from a place of insecurity, at least me personally speaking, because I struggle with this as well, I'll be honest, and a place of scarcity where there's not enough out there. And if someone is taking that, let me tell you this, my family, there's enough out there. And right now our time may not be here to own a house, but our time will eventually come. And if one of us decides to take the chance to go for it, and you're like, man, in this market, you're gonna go be negative, I would honestly urge you to change that perspective. If they decided to go and take the dive for it, good for them. But let's change our way, what we define as success. I did this with cars. Let me share my perspective with cars. I used to look at someone driving like a Tesla or like a BMW or like a Mercedes, and I used to say, wow, they're so successful. Gosh, what am I doing? What did I do wrong? If I had worked extra hard this month, I probably could afford it. If I had done this, that, or this, oh man, what's wrong with me? And I would just get really down with me, or talk crap about them. But listen, what I've learned as someone who owned a Tesla and had a $950 payment, that I was like, what am I doing? Traded in before the Tesla crashed to get a nice little Corolla. Someone having a nice car rarely means that they have it paid off. Someone having a nice car just means you're taking the gamble of owning a really expensive car payment because they're making good money at the moment or something like that. So we should really redefine what success means, not only for ourselves, but for others, and say, if someone owns a house, that doesn't mean they're successful. That just means they're willing to take the chance in this market. They're willing to go and take the leap of home ownership right now, because right now home ownership is very much a leap of faith of not only the market, but yourself and your financial situation. And it could be great benefit to them. But like I've told you guys before, if you're not in a position because your location is preventing you from being a homeowner, I would rather be someone who has multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars invested over several markets where my family is taken care of if I die tomorrow than, oh, I own a house. But if I pass away tomorrow, my family gets left with all this debt and nothing to show for. Maybe for you, it's I've built a cushion of savings of 6 figures. Maybe for you, it's I have built my retirement fund to 250K. Maybe it's like, Javier, I paid off all my credit. I own my cars free and clear. I am looking forward to the day where I have no debts. I have all my credit cards are paid. I have a lot of my cushions. I have all my cars paid off, and I am far off from there. And I would rather have that goal met than the fact that I own this house. Let me tell you, sometimes when you own a house, it feels like a golden jail. It feels like, yes, I own this really nice house, but because of this mortgage payment, I can't go really do what I want to do in this life, right? I can't really go out there and, like, if I want to take a month or two off, right? So yes, if you have a rental, you still have to pay it, but a mortgage, there's something scarier about it, especially when you really stretch your budget out. And people are doing right now, which is they're going in and they're buying something a little bit out of their means. So why am I saying all this? Well, I have an interesting situation. I come from a divorced family. My mother was very traditional, very simple. She moved back to Mexico a long time ago, and my father was here, and he's very much a figure in my life. Like, it's very much, there's like a cult, like grew up in a very cultish, like the father is the figure and we shall respect him, and if you don't have his attention, let me do what I can to get his attention, which is perform really well in school or do something, become very talented at something that he likes, and then, oh gosh, when he gives you attention, it's like the sweetest hit of meth, right? But then when you don't do something that he doesn't like, oh gosh, unfortunately, I mean, yes, there was basic punishment like chanclas and seatbelts. Once my dad made a paddle and drilled holes in it because I guess it made it more aerodynamic. It actually didn't make it hurt as much. I don't know what he was thinking, but to me, the worst was when you wouldn't live up to whatever that standard was. It would be like not being like the removal of attention and love, which let's zip that up. Let's save that for therapy. But I got to that point where I bought not only one house, but many houses and multiple houses. And I almost like kept pushing the envelope because I wouldn't get the amount of like satisfaction of like, oh, I'm proud of you, right? It wouldn't be as like impactful as I thought it would. So I kept like, in a way, not to say I did it for that reason, but there was a little, inner drive of me to just keep going and pushing the envelope and get to the point where I have this house that's like a really nice house in the area that I've always lived in. And I eventually did finally get that like moment of like, wow, this is really great. I'm really proud of you. And the sweetest moment just turned into a fizzle. It doesn't last long. And you soon realize, what am I doing? So I leave you with this warning. Really look inwardly while you're buying. Like, really consider it, because right now it is such a gamble. If you're like me and you were motivated maybe somewhere deep in there by this need to please or really like impress our parents or our family members or our cousins or whatever the case is, I strongly recommend you to look inward and see what truly is important. Because at the end of the day, you might get comments like, oh, there's so-and-so. Or no, I'll be nice. Maybe they'll be like, wow, look at your cousin. He just bought a house. Oh, it's so amazing. He just bought it. It's so beautiful. Or you'll go, oh my gosh, I want to go visit Carla. Oh my God, her house is so beautiful. You should see it. And you're just like, oh, good for her. And you're just like, you talk about me when I'm like, if you got yourself a good cushion that you built up, a good investment that you built up, good goals, you're debt free, or you're in a good position, then you hear that and it goes in one ear out the other, because it's like, hey, you can be happy for other people because your definition of success is being met. And you hear other people's perception, like your family members or parents or whatever, and you're just like, that's what they think is successful, but that doesn't really align with mine. You know what I mean? And then you kick them right in the nuts and give them a stone cold stunner. I'm kidding, don't do that. All right, a little bit of different video, but felt like this needed my heart to make this video. I don't know why. So I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you. See you on the next one.